My name is Mark Lee here at the Happy Village. Welcome to our Happy Village channel. This is our another project we're doing at Happy Village called Mediation. You know, in our society, everybody has differences and they're fighting. In our Happy Village, we just launched a program called Mediation Department. What we do is we try to set up both parties' differences on, to come with some kind of conclusion or halfway to meet and to come with a solution. Today we have a really important guest here. His name is Edward. He is an attorney in law, practicing law in Southern California for the past 20 years. And he's in the Korean community, and he's one of our mediator staff here working on litigation, try to mediate the difference on two people. So, how are you, sir?
Just fine, thank you.
Thanks for coming. I know you're really busy with your
No, that's okay.
cases.
That's
So,
good to hear.
we just launched the mediation segment of our program in Happy Village. So can you tell the audience a little bit about how the mediation works? Then we could summarize a little bit and we could go forward.
Yeah, basically the mediation is defined as a tool to settle the matter between those two parties. This mediation can be used before, during, and after the trial. Actually, this mediation is a very good process because you can save a lot of money, and I don't know if anybody went through litigation, but litigation takes a whole lot of stressful event. This litigation may take at least a year, up to 3 or 4 years.
Wow.
So imagine, it's going to cost you a lot of money just to hire an attorney and defend or pursue the matter. But this mediation can take 3 hours to a day or 2. But still, this mediation can settle the difference between the parties. So it's a lot cheaper and effective and lot less stressful.
I see. Well, folks, let's organize our conversation. According to our counsel, is that you will speed up, and with mediation, you will save a lot of money, and you will achieve your goal. So you have 3 things going on mediation. So on your experience in mediating a lot of cases, what was the most difficult case that you deal with 20 years practice you did?
Emotional conflict. And money-wise, they can give in or they can take. It's just that emotional conflict is a great part, and that's why the mediation is a very good process to resolve that kind of emotional conflict. Because many times you're not going to know until deep in the case, you're not going to know that there's an emotional conflict. But at the mediation for 3 or 4 hours, you can tell whether this person has emotional conflict with the other person. Because what we do is, I do a caucus. What we call it is a caucus.
Yes, caucus.
We have a meeting with 2 parties with the attorneys present, and I explain the situation and process of the mediation. And then I suggest that I do a caucus with each party. Meaning, I take one party and talk about their problems, and then I go to another room for other party and then talk about their problems. And then I'm trying to go back and forth to see if I can resolve this matter.
I see.
Now, only I know that they're in conflict emotionally. Then I can try to approach that way to make sure that there's maybe there's an apology as part of the settlement.
Oh, wow.
So, which is very effective. So, to answer your question, it is emotional conflict.
Yeah, okay. And just wanted to summarize and just define caucuses in mediation is to have the 2 parties in different room, and what he says is he will go different room and get the opinion and try to settle and mediate the difference on 2 parties. So that's the term that we use in mediation. Oh, one of the things is, what was most difficult mediation case that you did in 20 years?
Church case.
Church cases.
I have to say church case.
I see.
I cannot say the name or anything, but the experience that I had with the church case is the church has to defend the case with the money that they're supposed to use for other purposes. But they're forced to defend the litigation by spending a lot of money. One time I had a case where, not that I had a case, but the church spent a lot of money litigating. They ended up settling the case, but at the very eve of trial, what we call it is an MSC, Mandatory Settlement Conference. In front of the judge, They couldn't settle the matter until the very, very eve of trial. They ended up going to MSC, Mandatory Settlement Conference, in front of the judge, and they ended up settling the case for very, very little amount. However, until the church being there from the get-go, from the very beginning, it took them a lot of money and stress. Okay, so that church was sued again. So
Oh,
it
wow.
came to me for mediation. We ended up settling the case within 3 hours.
Wow, 3 hours. So.
3 hours. It was similar amount of money was demanded by somebody to the church, and instead of spending all that time, they were able to settle within 3 hours because they know, they've been educated. They know how much they have to spend their attorney fee just to settle the matter at the MSC.
So, folks, it's not no brain to think about it. If you go to mediation, you're going to save a lot of money. And we have staff like a counsel here to assist you, things like that. So, with the recommendation from our attorney, our mediation staff, there's a couple of steps. Number one, if you want to mediate, you need to call our Happy Village, go to the website, and you have to fill out a confidential agreement intake form. After the intake form, we will review it, and we will give the counsel a different mediator on specific cases. Then we will contact the other party to set up, make appointments to meet together. And then our staff counsel come and mediate on behalf of Happy Village together to resolve the situation. So is that the correct procedure that I'm saying?
I believe so.
Okay.
They have to contact, they have to mutually agree that they want to do a mediation. So once they mutually agree to do a mediation, they contact you and
That's right.
and set up a mediation. And now, if this involves heavily the legality of the whole matter, then it's better for the attorney to mitigate this matter because the attorney is knowledgeable
Absolutely.
with regard to law. But if it's more of personal conflict, then anybody can mediate.
I see. One more question is that during the mediation period, all the evidence, all the statement, comments, can they use in the court?
No, it's strictly confidential.
Confidential.
Anything that's being said and done at the time of the mediation, when I say done, it's even including personal feelings. Okay? Any impression that you gave to the mediator is strictly confidential unless you're allowing the mediator to disclose that kind of impression to the other party during the caucus meeting. You cannot disclose that as a mediator.
I see.
Mediator is the person who's just trying to mediate the problems. There's no judicial force, but mediator is trying to facilitate the settlement between the parties, but cannot do unless they're consented or permitted. Anything and everything that is being done and said in the mediation is strictly confidential. And if you're trying to enforce that and trying to introduce any type of mediation matters or process or anything that was being exchanged, it's subject to objection. You cannot introduce that. It's confidential.
Folks, confidential, so it will protect your privacy and you cannot use it in the court. So before we end up our program, Counsel, can you say something to our audience? A couple of comments, the wise comment about the mediation. So you want to say something to our audience?
I would say, before you go to an attorney, I think you might as well contact Happy Village to see if you can resolve this conflict between the parties informally, and see if you can resolve this matter through the help of the experienced mediators. And if that doesn't work, you can always resort back to legality, where you can sue the person or do whatever you want to do.
I see.
But even if you sue and even if you're in litigation, you're still going to be going through the mediation anyhow.
I see.
So you first try the mediation before any lawsuit or any litigation and see if you can resolve this matter amicably. If not, then you have to do whatever you have to do. So mediation is a very good process, especially when you do it at a less expensive situation where you can use the service of the Happy Village.
Yes. I'm going to ask you to come back randomly throughout the year and share some different legal law advice on like business and labor. Because I know you practice that, so we wanted to kind of highlight that.
Sure.
You know, we wanted you to come back
Absolutely.
later on. So anyway, thanks for coming today. I know you're really busy, but I'm really appreciating let the audience know what's the mediation. So, Counsel, thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.